All right, what is going on, ladies and gentlemen? How is it going? I am Is There No One Else, and the video I'm bringing you today, I am bringing you my Stamina Necromancer PvP build for the Dragonhold DLC. Now, before I dive into this, this is going to be very all-inclusive like it always is. I'm going to try and give you guys options, different things you can run. I've been running Necromancer this week. It's very, very powerful. I'm not going to say this is a gimped class. This is a very good class, and I'm going to do my best to explain why. So if you were running my last build is more than fine. Pariah's Shieldbreaker, that build works very well. It's just going to come down to preferences. As is the case with all PvP builds, guys, you know, there is no one, this is the best build. There's no one best build. You know, if you're a little bit slow on the joysticks, you know, maybe you want something a little bit more tanky. If you're a little bit faster on the joysticks, maybe you want something that has a little bit more damage. I'm just here to provide options for you guys to try and show you guys what works or what's working for me so that you guys can look into a different playstyle. And like if you think this playstyle looks fun and you kind of like the cutthroat idea of just shitting on people with a ton of damage, this is going to be the build for you. If you want a little bit more survivability, I would definitely check out looking at my previous Necromancer build. That build is still amazing. So, with that being said, guys, let's dive into it. As far as the consumables go, guys, we're going to run immovable pots and we're going to run detect pots. We need detect pots for Nightblades. Movable pots are fantastic for finishing our burst. It does take a little bit to line up our burst as a Necromancer, but when it does line up, it's very rewarding, and just about anybody's within our kill range. And so that is the fun part about playing Necro. As far as consumables go, I'm running Lava Foot, Soup, and Saltrice. This gives us 4936 stamina and 493 stamina recovery. Necromancer in medium armor, from my personal experience, sustain is kind of weird. They have a lot of reduced cost. The new reusable parts is also nice. It's a very nice buff. And you'll see how we're able to use that. But overall, you cannot get away with less recovery on a Necromancer in medium the way you can on like a Stamina Dragon Knight or a Stam Sork or a Stamina Nightblade. So you have to build in a little bit more recovery from my experience, and so that's what I did. We built in recovery without sacrificing damage. We still hit hard, we have high recovery, and we use other Necromancer buffs to supplement our tankiness that we're missing out. This is a very well-rounded medium armor build, and you guys will see that. So that's the consumables. As far as the gear goes, guys, on the front bar, we're running New Moon Acolyte. New Moon Acolyte is the new crafted set available in Dragonhold. You can craft it in light, medium, or heavy. We only want this on the front bar. So 2-piece weapon and spell crit, 3-piece weapon and spell damage, 4-piece physical and spell penetration, and then 5-piece adds 464 weapon and spell damage. However, it also increases the cost of your active abilities by 5%. And so that's why we only want it on the front bar. We front bar this because oftentimes your spammables are a little bit cheaper, and so we can throw this on the front bar. It'll increase our rally heal, but it also, the 5% increased cost on like Blast Bones or D-Swing or another spammable just isn't a whole lot, and so this is how we can get away with it. I talked about this a few other times, guys. I really did think this set was going to be the meta across basically all builds. Like, I thought this was going to be the hands-down best set to run. And that's not necessarily the case. You know, it's very comparable in damage to Spriggans and Spinners. Obviously, this has pros and cons to running, you know, Spinners and Spriggans have their pros. New Moon Acolyte has its pros. And so it's going to come down to, you know, essentially, are you building in recovery? Are you using Onslaught? You know, stuff like that. This build, a New Moon Acolyte is better if you're running Onslaught and if you want increased healing. And so we are running Onslaught with this build. And so we will be, you know, doinking people with that. And so that's why we're running the Nirn Maul to kind of meet that middle ground to do that. If you want to run a Nirn Greatsword, you can. Your Onslaughts will hit even harder. I like the Nirn Maul because, you know, we're still running. We can still kill people without Onslaught, you know, with this much damage. And so I like that Maul. Maul just seems to be best in PvP right now. And so Nirn Maul is that nice middle ground. Running these gradual drain health poisons. These things are very powerful. Deals 11 to 9 poison damage and heals you 854 health for 3.5 seconds. It also inflicts 2,000 heal absorption, and it gives you minor heroism for 4.5 seconds. So it gives us a little bit of ulti-gen. Also, when we practice on somebody, they're going to have a little bit harder time recovering. You can run double dots. If you don't run those guys, you can run poison glyph. You can run a disease glyph. It's up to you. There's a bunch of good options. Master's Bow on the back bar. I am running Infused with a weapon damage enchant. Now you can run Infused, you can run Nern, you can run Sharpen, you can run Defending. I typically go between Nern, Defending, and Infused, depending on what you want to do. I've just been rolling around with Infused lately. I'm liking it quite a bit, but like I said, guys, it's preference. If you do not have a Master's Bow, like if you have not done VDSA, if you're new to a platform, whatever, and you just don't have this, there are other options. You can obviously backbar New Moon Acolyte. Your sustain might be a little weird. You can also backbar something like Agility, and that way your roll dodge and your more expensive stuff on your backbar is not getting the increased cost. You could also backbar Potentates. So Potentates gives you 5% damage mitigation. Let's see if I have a piece. So a 2-piece reduces your damage taken from players by 5%. This allows you to be a little bit more tanky on the back bar, and so Potentates is a very, very viable option for builds if you don't want to run the Master's Bow, guys. You'll notice the 5%. Trust me, I've been running Potentates back bar on PC because I do not have the Master's Bow, and it's very nice. So those are the options. I do think Master's Bow is best in slot, but if you don't have it, guys, it's not a deal breaker. Like you're only going to miss out on 300 weapon damage, and when you see the amount of damage that we have with this specific build, you won't need it. You really don't need it. It's going to be preference. So 2-piece Bloodspawn. I got Heavy with the Prismatic Enchant and Impen, and Light Shoulder. So this is a 5 medium, 1 light, 1 heavy set. Bloodspawn, a great overall set. I've talked about this multiple times. Bloodspawn is the type of set that I want to see ZeniMax incorporate more sets like. I want more sets to be like Bloodspawn. And what I mean is it's a strong set without carrying a skill or playstyle or damage or healing. Like if we talk about carry monster sets, we're talking about sets like Earthcore. Like, oh man, I'm sitting in somebody's Purify and I drop below 50% health. That's okay. I don't have to CC break because I know my buddy's Earthcore is going to proc and it's going to save my ass. And so I can just lay on the ground and, let that heal me to full and then I can come back up. That's a set that saves you. Bloodspawn doesn't save you. It makes you tankier. So when it procs, you get 62, 25 resistances for 6 seconds, which is nice. But you're still taking damage. You still have to heal to survive. You still have to do something in order to survive. It also gives you ulti-gem, which means that you can hit your burst a little bit more quickly. It doesn't make your ultimate hit harder, but it makes it come back more quickly. However, as we all know, if you use your ultimate poorly, it doesn't really matter how quickly you're going to get it. So that's why I like this set so much, because it allows you, it really amplifies the player without making them, it doesn't carry them. And so I would love to see sets like this, like as an example, like I would love to see a set like when you deal critical damage, you get physical and spell penetration for X amount of seconds or something like that. Like those types of sets that give you physical and spell pen. It gives you some sort of nice bonus without saying like, hey, if I hit you with 20 light attacks, this Zon is going to go off and it's going to ruin your fucking life and you're not going to be able to recover because it hits too hard. Like that's why I like this set. All right, off my soapbox, guys. I'm sorry. Yeah. We're also running Shield Breaker. And so we're going to run 3 Jewelry Shield Breaker with 2 body. I just want the 5-piece Shield Breaker on both bars. So Shield Breaker is a fantastic set. I've talked about this Shield Breaker versus Spriggans before. I'll say it briefly again. If you're using Onslaught, Shield Breaker is better than Spriggans. If you're using Dawnbreaker, if you're using any other ultimate, basically, I would go Spriggans. They're both very nice damage sets. Because Onslaught ignores resistances, we want that buff to our overall damage. That's what makes Shield Breaker so good. Now, there are other options. You can run Essence Thief, and I will be looking at Essence Thief next patch when the performance changes come into play. If I can land Essence Thief more reliably, if it's not as laggy, Essence Thief will be a better set. It's going to come down to the type of fights you guys are experiencing. Oftentimes, I'm in the main campaign. I'm fighting severely outnumbered. I can't always light attack to proc the Essence and then go out in the open to get it. And so I just like to rely on something I know I'm always going to get. And so that's why I went with Shield Breaker. Outside of Essence Thief, you can also run Fury. And so you can run 3 Jewelry Fury with 2 body, and then you can run 5 medium around it. That'll increase your healing. It'll give you very similar weapon damage. Fury will give you a little bit more damage than Shield Breaker, but Shield Breaker is all the time. You always know you have it, and so as you guys know, when you're fighting somebody that has high healing, as is the case with just about everybody this patch because of the way the healing is, it's nice just knowing that, hey, if this person drops to low health and I want to smack them, I don't need to wait until my Fury is fully stacked in order to get the finisher. I know I just have damage with this set. Now, that's my preference. If you want the increased healing of Fury, obviously run Fury. Fury is a great option. I'm not saying it's not, but that's why I'm running Shield Breaker. So I got 3 body pieces New Moon, front bar New Moon, and then I got 3 Shield Breaker jewelry, all weapon damage. Now, I have them robust. You can run Infused if you want to. Maybe I'll try Infused at some point. That'll give you a little bit more damage, especially with continuous attack, but that's your preferences. As far as our character sheet goes, guys, we are an Imperial. We do have prismatics on quite a few pieces. I'm sitting at 18,000 health and 35k stamina. In PvP, that runs me around 25k health, which is a pretty good spot. My stamina recovery is at 2149. 16k resistances. With Bloodspawn, that puts me up to about 22 and just under 3k crit resist. If I buff up with Rally, and we look at our front bar, we're sitting at 4,200 weapon damage. With the Master's Bow, we're at around 5,200 weapon damage, and you see stamina recovery is at 2,300. If we take a pot, we're sitting at 2,600 stamina recovery. Now, I am an Imperial, and so I have 3% reduced cost. I have this much stamina recovery. I find that with medium armor builds, with being more kitey, you need higher recovery on a Necromancer. And now, that's just my preference. This does not impact my damage in any way, shape, or form, because, as you guys will see when I show you my tooltips for my damage, it's more than fine. But that's the type of recovery I've found I've needed on a medium armor build. If you're running heavy armor Necromancer, you can obviously heavy attack, weave, and sustain more than fine, because that's kind of how heavy attack sustain works, or heavy armor sustain works. But in medium armor, this is my sweet spot, is around 2,600. So it looks a bit crazy, but that's how I've been running it. I am a stage 4 vampire. Now, you can be vampire, you cannot be vampire. It's going to come down to this. On your platform, who are you running across a decent amount of Magic and Dragon Knights? If you're not, vampire is amazing. In open world PvP, in the main campaign on Xbox, there's just not many mag DKs running around. And so stage 4 vamp allows you to utilize the Undeath passive, get that survivability when you're at low health. It's up to you, though. I ran stage 4 vamp in no CP BGs, and I got my shit pushed in quite a few times. I literally was running across 4-man mag DK teams a few times, and it was rough. And so I will say, if you're doing a lot of no CP BGs and you're running across a lot of mag DKs, take vampire off. It's not worth it. If you're not, run stage 4 vamp. I'm not going to tell you which one's better. It's really just going to come down to who's in your community and who you're fighting against. I'm running the Serpamundus. If you want to add more damage, you can, obviously, right here. But yeah, this is where I'm at. Lavafoot, Soup, and Saltrice. And yeah, 64 points into stamina. As far as our skills go, Reverse Slice. Now, you can run Executioner. However, Blast Bones is AoE. Onslaught's AoE. Our back bar ultimate is also AoE, so I like the AoE Execute. Some people go Executioner because they like that extra finishing power on one person. Because Blast Bones gives you Major Defile, you do not need that extra execution power on a Necro, in my opinion, because they're already not healing as much. They're not going to be able to recover as easily, so your Executes will already land pretty reliably. So I like the AoE Splash. If you don't, that's fine. Go Executioner. Camo Hunter. This is a flex spot. You can put Turn Evil here, and you can get the 8% plus the Fear through block. There are times where I wish I had it on my bar. There are other times where I really value Camo Hunter. Camo Hunter is nice. It gives us Major Savagery, increasing our crit rating. We also get Minor Berserk when we hit somebody from here, from their shoulder, all the way behind them to their other shoulder. And so this will actually proc quite a bit on a dodge rolling build. If a Nightblade jumps on us and they do a bunch of damage, or they jump on us and they do no damage and we laugh at them and they try to get away, we can pull them out of stealth and we can finish them off and let them respawn back at their keep. So very, very powerful skill. Just nice having on the bar. Like I said, you could flex Turn Evil in here if you want to. I'd go back and forth between the two. Rally, Blast Bones. This does a shit ton of damage. We've talked about blast bones a lot. It doesn't always land reliably, but it doesn't have to. We hit pretty damn hard with this build, and so we don't always need blast bones to reliably land. If it did, I would honestly say that that Necromancer might be the strongest stamina class in the game if blast bones was landing like a lot more than what it currently is. Like, just the amount of damage that it does, the defile that it gives, it's a lot. And so you see it's at 18,000. This jumps up to 25,000 fully buffed, guys. You know, with my poison injection, with my master's bow on the back bar, with continuous attack. I will show you guys the fully buffed damage when you see it. But yeah, we have this modifier with Camo Hunter. You know, like I said, we have Exploiter, Off Balance, we have Continuous, we have all these things. This will scale up by a lot on an already hard-hitting skill. D-Swing. D-Swing is still good. If you guys don't believe me, go back and look at my previous video. I can provide a link for you guys, but I like D-Swing. D-Swing's Off Balance. I like the stun more now than I did before. It's a lot easier to land. And there's also a combo you can do to get both these things to land. And then I'm running Onslaught. So we're hitting pretty hard with Onslaught. This is going to jump up to about 28,000 fully buffed. And so this is why we're running Shield Breaker. This is why we're running New Moon, because we want to buff this specific skill, or all these skills. But we get full pen when we activate this. We also get full physical pen for 5 seconds afterwards. So if we don't finish somebody with this, we're going to have full pen on them for 5 seconds after. So a D-Swing or an Execute is really going to put them on the defensive. And so even if we don't kill somebody, our burst is going to put them in a spot to where they're going to really have a hard time sustaining. If they make it to another set of another ultimate, you know, they're just going to... We really put people on the defensive when we land everything correctly. And so that doesn't always happen. You know, that's the problem with Necro sometimes, but like this entire combination is very, very rewarding against very tanky individuals, which there are a lot of right now. Back bar ultimate. I am running Devouring Swarm. Now, you know, some people are going to look at this and they're going to kind of scoff. Ultimates scale off your max stats. We have 52-13 magic damage every second for 7 seconds. They also heal you. And so in a severely outnumbered situation, I could pop bats on people. Bats basically allow me to go full offensive. And so if I summon a Blast Bones, I'll show you how I kind of use my ultimate on my back bar here. But actually, I'll show you that in a minute. This just is... It's a great survivability damage dealing ult. If you do not run Vampire, you can obviously run Pestilent Colossus. This is a great ultimate in group play. I switch this out if I'm playing with a few people. You can also run Ballista. This is a great single target ability as well. Very, very nice. You can also run Undo if you want to. And so there are multiple back bar options for ultimates. I honestly, in solo play, like Devouring Swarm the most. Resolving Vigor. Poison Injection. We're using Poison Injection to proc our Master's Bow. It's not a great dot anymore, you know, but we do have that ranged Execute now, so you can use it. You can use the other one that interrupts if you want to. Up to you. I still like Poison Injection, but, you know, that's, once again, preference. Spirit Guardian. Now, I was using Spirit Mender last patch because I had higher resistances. Because my resistances are now lower, I can better utilize this morph. And so this is our little buddy that comes to our side and heals us a little bit. The other morph heals us quite a bit more. This gives us 10% damage mitigation. And so when you guys saw my resistances, I was sitting at around 22,000. I have 22,000 plus 10% damage mitigation from this skill. And so 10% damage mitigation is roughly the equivalent of 6,600 resistances. And so you can see how you can be very sturdy even in a medium armor build on a Necro with this specific skill. So this skill is very nice for that reason. If you want the higher healing, like I said, the other one is a nice option. This one lasts a little bit longer. It's a little bit better for stam classes for sustain. But, you know, with an Imperial, you can survive. You can sustain this or the other one regardless. Summoner's Armor. This is our major buff. It also, while active, reduces the cost of Blast Bones, Skeletal Mage, and Spirit Mender by 15%. So as long as this is up, this is a hell of a lot cheaper. Our Blast Bones is a lot cheaper. It allows us to sustain quite a bit easier while also giving us our major ward buffs. Shuffle, Major Evasion. It also gives our snare immunity. Just very, very nice skill. It's in a great spot right now. It really makes medium armor very viable this patch. So yeah, that's the skills. If we go into our CP really quickly, 56 Warlord, 1 in a Siphoner, 75 Mooncalf, 5 in Arcanist, 49 Tenacity, 61 Tumbling, 23 in a Shadow Ward, 15 in a Blessed, 81 Mastered Arms, 75 Mighty, 43 Piercing, 56 in a Precise Strikes. I have a bunch into direct damage because our D-Swing, our Onslaught, and our Blast Bones is all direct damage. I threw a few into Piercing because, you know, we don't necessarily need Onslaught to kill people, and so it's nice having that little bit of extra pen. 72 Ironclad, 51 in a Resistant. This is wrong. I was messing around with this. You don't really need points in a Thick Skin. And so Thick Skinned it's okay. But what I would do is, you know, you can build in more over here. We basically just want enough for the Unchained passive. And so once we have the Unchained passive, we can take this down. There we go. There we go. And we have 28 points, and you can put the 28 points into Quick Recovery if you so choose. So that's your choice. That's how I would do it. Yeah, I think this is a pretty good spot in general. So CP is always subjective, kind of depends on what you want to do, but I like the blue tree that I have. Your playstyle is going to kind of depend on, you know, how you use the other things. So I'm going to build up my ultimate here really quickly, but this is a very powerful build. We obviously hit very hard. The reason we went with New Moon Acolyte over Pariah is because this patch they reduced the dots by quite a bit. And so because dots are reduced, you have a lot less just people hitting you with Soul Trap and Entropy and a bunch of other cheesy shit that you can't really avoid. So you can get away. It's more direct damage that you have to deal with. And because there's a lot less direct damage stuff to deal with than just overwhelming dots, you can get away with, you know, another damage set. And New Moon Acolyte is a great option. Like I said, Pariah is not a bad choice. I was running it a decent amount, and it still works very well. But this is the harder hitting option. And so what this allows us to do, guys, is just finish off that burst. And so there are a lot of tanky individuals out there. And so we have high burst with this build. You know, obviously, like I showed you, 20k, 14, and 18. And this isn't fully buffed. Fully buffed, this goes a lot higher. I'll show you that here in a minute. But if we land all this, we dish out a lot of burst to somebody. And on top of that, we inflict them with Major Defile, which means that they're not going to recover. We also have full pen when we land our Onslaught, so they're not going to be able to recover as easily. And we'll have full pen to finish them off with our Execute. So the two options you can do for fighting people is, you know, you do your light attack poison injection, you summon your Blast Bones, you do your light attack D-Swing, and then you do your medium attack. And typically, as you guys can see, your medium attack that stuns and puts the person on the ground will go off around the time your Blast Bones hits. And so you'll have your Blast Bones plus your stun, and that gives you your choice to land your Onslaught or your Execute. And so for squishier individuals, all you'll have to do is just reverse slice them and finish them off. For tankier individuals, you'll have to drop your ult. If you're fighting a bunch of people, you know, let's say I'm getting chased by like 10 people, and I'll show you a few of these in my clips. I like to go around a corner, summon my Blast Bones, go to the back bar, come into my Bats, and then basically do the same thing, and then go full offensive. Bats allow me to heal myself. It allowed me to go on the offensive severely outnumbered to finish a few people off. When Blast Bones explodes, anybody in that group that's kind of squishy is going to take a shit ton of damage, and it's going to really force the healers in that group to heal a bunch of people. And so because of that, it allows me to finish people off, and I will show you that as well. So those are kind of the combinations that I use for this specific build. Like I said, guys, it's a pretty fun build. We have high damage, as you guys saw. We have high recovery, and we have pretty good damage mitigation overall, like 22,000-ish resistances fully buffed. Plus, we're a vampire with the Undeath passive. Plus, we have 10% damage mitigation with Spirit Guardian. So, if I go down here and I show you my setup on the build editor, and I show you exactly what we have. So we have continuous attack, and then if we do all of our buffs, we have Major Brutality, which is Rally, We also have Minor Berserk, which is Camo Hunter. On top of that, guys, we have Off Balance. So after they're knocked off balance with the Exploiter 1D swing, we have 10% more damage there. We also have our weapon damage enchant on our back bar. This is fully buffed, obviously. And then we have our Caustic Arrow, which is our Master's Bow. You will see that we have a 28,000 Onslaught fully buffed, 19,000 D-Swing, and a 25,000 Blast Bones. So we hit very, very hard with this build, fully buffed. So this allows us to really dish out a ton of damage all at the same time. We have high recovery, and so you can see with continuous attack, with a pot, with all that, we're at 3,100 stamina recovery. So this allows us to 1vx. As long as we can kite around and be mobile and avoid damage via dodge roll and line of sight and stuff like that. We obviously have the resistances to stand toe-to-toe with most builds, most non-mag DKs. So we can fight 1v1 with this, you know, against most classes. 1v2, 1v3 is fine. Severely outnumbered, we're going to have to use our mobility, our ability to dodge roll, line of sight, and our high recovery in order to do something. So that's why I like this build. There's multiple different ways to survive. I do have some clips for you guys. If you guys have any questions or comments, please provide it in the section below. I will do my best to answer it. But yeah, that's the build. Here are the clips. Alright guys, this first little mini clip is just to highlight the damage potential that you can have with this type of build. That was just Blast Bones, Onslaught, Execute. You have a lot of burst. You can take somebody to 100 to 0 very quickly. And with a healing meta, that's kind of what you need to do. This is a continuation of that fight. A little bit later, they opened up the door. They were taking the keep. I had that 1v1 with that Stam DK. It wasn't really going anywhere. Started getting attacked by a bunch more people, so I summoned a Blast Bones, Onslaught, go for the Executes. He runs back, and at 2k health, he gets a Breath of Life back on the stoop, so I decided to back up once again. You see they're starting to hit me with some Dark Flares. A couple other things, so I decided to kite over here to the rocks a little bit on the line of sight. Gonna hit a load screen, which is fantastic. You know, load screens and lag are the name of the game for this clip, but it's still a good clip regardless. I'm just gonna point out the lag when it happens. It wasn't bad right away. It starts to get pretty nasty a little bit later. So I kite around behind the step to see how many people are here. It looks like we have 2. So I summon a Blast Bones on this guy, go for the heavy attack, go for the D-Swing. He's now off balance. I get stunned right before I can get the Execute. We have another person show up. You see he popped his Vigor, he popped his Rally. It's not healing him, so I hit him with the Onslaught, another Blast Bones. He drops over dead. And so now we have this guy at half health because he took the blast from the initial Blast Bones, and he's, yeah, really not healing. He's just trying to go for the kill. And so I do a D-Swing, Execute, he dies. Blast Bones hits this guy, and so now I have one person left, and so I'm going to summon my Blast Bones. I'm going to keep my buffs up, hit him with a Poison Injection. Blast Bones hits him, plus a D-Swing, Execute, Execute. Now a healer shows up, immediately tries to revive. We're going to bash him out of it. Summon a Blast Bones, medium attack, light attack, D-Swing. I go for the Onslaught for the burst. You see he almost dies there. Manages to get a heal off, and now I'm getting hit with the Toxic Barrage. I back up, and you see I bash him, but the bash doesn't interrupt the revive, so that person's going to get back up. You see we have more heals, we have more Bogdan, with the person getting revived. The other person spawned back to keep, so they're going to be back here in a minute. So yeah, I just couldn't get that bash off, and so now it's going to be a little bit more annoying to deal with. But I'm still focusing the healer. You see I got the D-Swing there with the Onslaught, or with the Blast Bones. You see that if I had an ultimate there, I potentially could have bursted that healer. I didn't have it, but I still almost got it. So now I'm just going to summon my Blast Bones. I decided to go on the Mag Blade because they're not keeping their shields up, and I figured if I could get a Blast Bones D-Swing plus my Onslaught, I could kill this person before the healer could do anything. But I take a bunch of damage just as I'm trying to go in for the finish. So I had to kite and line of sight around this tower. You see now we have a Warden coming in with Permafrost. We have a healer. We already know that one of the guys is an archer with Toxic Barrage. If I get caught in that Permafrost of the Toxic Barrage, it could be a good game. So I'm going to kite a little bit back down this hill. Going to see who is aggressive enough to all chase me. So we see we have 4, 5, 6 people-ish all coming over here. So I decided to dodge roll over here, get behind this little step, wait to see who's going to show up. And at this point, guys, the lag starts to hit me pretty hard. And so you're going to see I go to pop my Rally. It doesn't go off. I'm taking a bunch of damage. I now have to dodge roll a lot because my Vigor, like I didn't pop Vigor there and I was trying. There, my Vigor finally goes off. My armor buff finally goes off. I can't CC break. And I'm trying to pop Vigor again. Vigor's not working. I weapon swap to pop Rally. My Vigor finally goes off. and I just dropped a shit ton of resources, literally just trying to heal. And so sometimes lag works that way. Sometimes lag is really a bitch. So I go into my bats right away, get the heals. I get a kill in my bats, and so now we have a bunch of other people at low health. I pop my rally, just trying to get my buffs up. I don't even have my shuffle up. This person's almost dead anyways, so I get aggressive and I go on the offensive. I was able to CC break out of that, pop my rally, go to drop my vigor, and I drop over dead. This next fight, guys, me and my buddy Smithereen, we went into a keep that was about ready to get taken, and we're going to try and defend it here. Bunch of reds. There are a few blues. You'll see those guys in a little bit. Smithereen's on a warden, and I'm on my necro, and we're just going to try and see if we can pepper this group, kind of slow them down a little bit, see if we can pick a few people off and turn this into a really nice X. So Smithereen jumps in here. He focuses this guy, so I come in with my bats, hit with a couple executes. Even with all this healing, Necro just has so much burst with bats to finish people off like that. So we're going to line of sight over here. You see we have a few blues in our area. We're going to try and pick a few people off. This guy's by himself. No man's land. We catch him with an 8600 D-swing and an execute. He's dead. They got siege over there with meat bags, so we're just going to kite around the side here. My buddy pushes back into it, so I come around here with him. He hits him with a nice Dawnbreaker. We finish him off. He gets basically a double kill. And so now we just have the meat bag here. I try to focus this person. My buddy says he's getting hit really hard. He can't weapon swap. He can't heal. So I try to help him out. And like I said, guys, it's just really nasty lag sometimes. That's just ending you. Performance is not great. So I pop my bats here, and I'm in bats with 5 people, which basically means you're almost unkillable. You see their health bars dropping down, even in the Earth Core. We're going to get this kill. We get another quick kill. We're going to pop our Vigor. We're going to buff up. We're going to get our Mender out, take a double CC. Just hanging on for dear life here. Pop our Rally, get a little heal, another Vigor. Trying to get my Shuffle to get my Snare immunity up. Yeah, just a lot of things going on right here. So we finally get recovered, get our Shuffle up, and now we're going to see if we can get a couple more quick kills or pick our buddy up. We only have a few people on us because they decided to chase the 3 blues over here. So I'm going to summon my Blast Bones on this guy. Basically wanted to see if I could take this guy out before, while the other people were occupied. I get hit by a few other people. And so I'm just going to kite a little bit, kind of see who's focusing me. Use the stairs as line of sight. I'm going to come up around this corner. See this guy's getting focused. Bring these guys with us. Summon a Blast Bones. Go into my bats. And I try to kill that guy that's going up the stairs, but just couldn't get to him. He comes back downstairs after taking some damage. I'm still trying to finish him. He doesn't die there. And at this point, they're all up the stairs. So I decided to hop off the stairs, see if I can sneak off a revive. See, they're hitting me. I finally get bashed out of it. Don't get the revive. So I pop Vigor, dodge roll, pop my Rally, buff up. I have the ads on me as well. And so I'm just going to kite and kind of see who I have with me. I have a couple of range builds, or shield builds, and I have shield breakers, so we'll see what happens here. 12.6k D-swing with a couple executes. Now I'm getting CC'd by a few people. I couldn't finish the kill, so I'm going to line of sight back up the stairs, pop a Rally, just kind of use my terrain to survive a little bit. I can take some damage. This guy doesn't heal, so I pop him with a quick poison injection. Keep in mind that's a buff for this patch, guys. That poison injection now does execute range even on the initial dot. I go into my bats again. This guy's taking a bunch of damage. This guy's hitting me with Toxic Barrage. We're going to execute him with our bats. We get another quick kill. So now we have 3 people here. One of them's not really healing. Like I said, guys, Blast Bones just allows you to finish off kills. So if they let their rallies slip on them, they're on the defensive really quickly. So I'm going to pop my Shuffle. I had 4 people on me. This was my mistake in this fight, guys. I went up top thinking that there weren't going to be many people up there. There were more. And so this guy almost died. I went for the D-swing thinking he was going to land with the onslaught. And now I have a bunch of people on top of me. And I'm going to get steamrolled. And I couldn't weapon swap. And I'm dead. But fun little fight anyways. This next fight, I am in between Ash and Nickel. And you see just the never-ending horde that is open world PvP sometimes. You know, big yellow Zergs, big red Zergs, big blue Zergs. This is what happens in prime time. So I'm trying to pull off a few people. I got a rock over here I can line of sight on. You see I have a bunch of range stuff coming in. We got a Warden. We got a Templar. We have a couple bow builds. You're going to hear the snipes going off. You see the acid spray. Go into my bats. Drop my Blast Bones. We're going to get a kill here. Nice 10k D-swing with the execute. We get a kill. You see we're still at pretty full health, so I try to stay and stick a kill again, but I have way too much damage coming in, too many dots, too many snipers. People just pop it out of stealth to stun me, hitting me with high damage ranged attacks. And sometimes you get desync, so all I can do is just line of sight around these corners a little bit and try and get some resources back. You see I almost have my bats back up, so I'm going to hit a couple heavy attacks. I'm going to go into these guys. You see this guy's at low health. So I get too far away here at this point. I go for the kill, and you see I'm way too far away from the group, or from my thing, and I take a bunch of damage, and I just couldn't recover. Like, all that hit me at once. I should have stayed around the rock. I just saw that guy at low health, and I got super into just trying to take out a few people there, thinking that if I killed 2 or 3 people, I could do it. And I didn't, and that's the end of it. This fight, we were getting zerged down in Bruma, and we just decided to head back over there because there was a bunch. We peeled off a bunch of people. At this point, guys, I go to summon a Blast Bones, and I don't do it. And we go into bats with a D-swing, and you see we take out 2 people. We have 3 more people on the defensive. I really do feel like my mistake right there, guys. If I summon my Blast Bones, and then I go into my bats and we get a Blast Bones explosion, we kill 2 or 3 more people in that burst. You see a bunch of people drop down to low health. I'm not saying we win the fight, but if all of a sudden you turn that 12v2 into like a 2v7 or a 2v6 or something like that, it all of a sudden becomes very manageable. So I wanted to show that. I wanted to highlight the burst you could potentially have. 19k onslaught right there. Just kind of wanted to show, like, that was my mistake. You know, if I do that right thing, you know, maybe that clip ends differently, but we still had potential to wipe a large group severely outnumbered. And that's why I like bats so much. Like, you guys can see the bats really coming into play in these fights. This fight, we got a couple random blues in the area. This group of yellows really likes to just take keeps, and they'll stay on the siege, and they'll just really try and get the thing bursted so blues aren't coming back. And so you see they're not really hitting us right now. There's going to be a lot more yellows showing up in a minute, so we're just trying to finish these guys off before they all show up. So you see we go in here with our D-swing, Blast Bones, another onslaught for 13k. We got 2 more quick kills. My buddy's dropping a standard for the Defile, which is great. Like I said, Defiles are so valuable in PvP right now. This guy dies to some AoE splash from the Execute and what my buddies were hitting him with. We got a Sork here, so we're going to summon our Blast Bones. We got a Stam Sork right here. Basically just trying to clean up the tower here a little bit. Trying to make sure nobody's reviving. We got a couple people hitting D-swings on us, so we're just going to buff up. We're going to kind of jump around and just see who's going to focus us and who we want to pick up for a target. This guy's almost dead. I go for the Execute. He managed to get a really nice Twilight heal. You see the Blast Bones is doing a really good job of just keeping him defiled. He's not really able to recover as easily. We have a few more people on the side here. We have a Templar here with the jabs, Blast Bones, D-swing, a couple Executes, a couple more Executes. He's full health. I thought we could have got the kill there without using the ultimate. That's why I didn't do it. I take a really nice meteor there. I just couldn't see it coming in enough time to block it. Decided to use the Blast Bones on the Templar. We kill him. We got 2 more people over here. So this guy pops a Resto ult. We're not going to be able to kill him for a few seconds. Resto ult's just very strong. We have a Bomber coming in, so we're going to change our target to him because he's very squishy and he's doing a lot of damage. We decided to kite back a little bit farther. You see the Permafrost plus the Saps plus the Soul Tether. Line of sight over here. I get hit with Scoria. We're going to go into here. We're going to summon a Blast Bones. We're going to line of sight through. I accidentally fall down off the rock, so we're going to keep our buffs up. We're going to see who's around this corner. And you see this guy's by himself, and so we're just going to summon a Blast Bones, D-swing, Onslaught, another quick kill. And everybody just kind of went back to the stoop. So you see we have a few more people. We have this guy over here hitting us with Radiant and Javelin. We have a Bomber right here, so we're going to take out the Bomber really quick. Now we're going to take out Templar. And so the rest of the group went to go focus the front door. And so we're just going to clean this up really quick. Another Meteor. Meteor's a little buggy right now. I just didn't block that one. And you'll see a bunch of yellows at this point on the front door. And so we're just going to pick off a few people off to the side. We're going to build up our ultimates. And you see at this point, guys, I have the Pestilent Colossus morph on the back bar instead of bats. And so once again showing that there are other options if you do not want to go Vampire. But you see we pull a decent amount of people off. And now I'm going to just come in with a Blast Bones. Going to body block for my buddy here. Going to go in with the Blast Bones. Going to go with the D-swing. Go with a couple Executes. We focus him down. Everybody else retreats back to the door. And so now we have our ultimates. And we're going to take one pretty big push in here and see if we can wipe out a few people. And turn this very large outnumber situation to something pretty cool. So my buddy goes in, drops a standard. We have a Permafrost. I drop my Pestilent Colossus. We have everybody snared in place. We get a couple quick kills here. We got the standard with the Defiles. We get 2 kills, and this is the point where they turn and focus us, and we take a bunch of damage, and the bomb fails. We ended up killing quite a few people there. But yeah, just really had to try and do it. Like Permafrost, Defile, Pestilent Colossus. Like if there was a chance for it, we were going for it. So still got a couple quick kills out of there. We ended up dying. But that's the end of the build, guys. That's the end of the clips. If you guys have any questions or comments, please let me know. Thank you for watching, guys. Have a nice day.